Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 5 and round 6 of the AOR R2 Formula 2 League. And I can only apologise, last week why there was no footage was because unfortunately Shadowplay just completely decided it would just record about 8 frames over the course of the whole evening. It would just stick on one for like 15 minutes. So that's why unfortunately there is no footage from Spain last week out. But I will tell you, I was actually able to score 1 point if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, no, 4 points. If I'm not mistaken, in the first round of the evening. I managed to scrape an 8th place in an absolutely carnage-strewn race, which meant that I started pole for the second race, and unfortunately I just fell all the way down the order to like P11 in the end. So yeah, unfortunately I did miss scoring my first points in this series, you know, on the footage. But back here for round 5 and round 6, full of confidence, ready for the Monaco Grand Prix. And as I said, you know, full of confidence, obviously, in this car because, yeah, I still really am not in a particularly good shape with it. I'm getting there, I won't lie. I feel I've definitely made some improvements. I'm able to get on the power a bit earlier in some places, but I'm still obviously struggling quite a bit. But that'll just come with practice, you know, just getting used to this car. Probably by the end of the season I might just be able to get it round on an overall, you know, semi-decent lap, you know, sort of a couple of seconds off the top guys there. But down through the chicane, overall this lap's actually been fairly decent on the whole. There was a couple of little mistakes, I think, just before the Fairmont hairpin. You know, I did make a mistake through there, and then there was a couple of, you know, small errors. It's just about trying to maximise getting on the power, getting on the turning and things, and just making sure that overall we are just that bit quicker than we are at the moment. It's all about confidence. But down in towards the final corner, then through Anthony Noakes and up towards the finish line, we're going to go near enough a second up on my overall PB before this, and it's going to be a 1 minute 24.978 there, so sub 1 minute 25. That left me, you know, about 4 seconds off pole position there, but easily, you know, I could find another couple of seconds in that session. But on the grid then, I think that left me overall in P11 there, so only 1 place off the points. Obviously, it being Monaco, no one decides to show up there, so unfortunately only 14 people did start this evening, which means it is a really good chance for me to try and score some points. You can see Ross actually 8/10 quicker than anyone else there in qualifying, so actually, relative to the rest of the field, we weren't so far off as we originally thought then. But here we are then, on the grid, ready for the Monaco Grand Prix. The feature race first of all, obviously the 30-minute session, and then we'll go into the sprint race after that. But here we are, on the grid, actually just 1 row behind my teammate Ben. Did a really, really good job in qualifying there. It was like a 1.5 seconds better than me, but it's 5 lights on the grid, ready for the Monaco Grand Prix. And it is lights out and away we go, and actually getting off to a bit of a better start than Ben in front of me there. We're going to try and pull to his outside, it down in towards T1 there, and now we're trying to brake as late as we possibly dare, hoping everyone up in front keeps it nice and tidy. And we go right around the outside of my teammate there, up into P10 of the Grand Prix, into the points as well of this Monaco Grand Prix, and I would absolutely love to score some points this weekend. As I said, you know, an absolutely wonderful opportunity to really get some good points on the board there, but it's become through this first sector, down in towards Sector 2. Everyone overall being fairly civilised there. Ben, I thought, was going to go for a move, so we did leave the door open for him there, but he did back out of that. And a tiny bit of lag, actually, between myself and Lambrex there, I think, as we go through the hairpin there. Struggling to actually try and get the steering lock and then the power out there, nearly accidentally swiping over Ben's front end, but we do manage to keep it clean through the first half of this first lap of the Grand Prix. You can see we've actually come out of that with absolutely no damage whatsoever. And now, as you can see as well, actually, completely forgot, obviously, with the last race being 2 weeks old, I've got a completely new HUD and everything. I now actually know how a lot of the buttons work on this game as well. So we're making progress generally on this sim. But yeah, on to lap 2 though, and you know, really there was no point sort of holding up Ben at this moment in time. He was a fair bit quicker than myself, so I'm just going to let him through, play the team game here, as you can see, letting him up into the points and hoping, you know, we could try and latch on to the back of him, you know, potentially close up a few of the cars further up the road. But we'll obviously have to wait and see how well that does fare as we go through the chicane there. Just both of us taking a huge chunk of curb there, and me struggling to get the power out of the corner. But now skipping on a couple of laps later to lap 3 of this race, you can see there's a couple of dots actually just ahead of me here, and there's yellow flags are now out here at Monaco. You see there's actually someone has made a bit of a mistake, and I think that's Pank Patrol. I can only apologise. I have almost definitely butchered your name there, but he's made a bit of a mistake, which means we're back up into the points of this Grand Prix. Now it's really about trying to hold on to these points. Ben hasn't really pulled away from me either, so we could, you know, potentially, if he makes a mistake, be able to make that move back up on him as now as we go on to lap 4 there. That mistake has happened. Ben there has unfortunately dropped it through turn 1, and we now move up into P9 of the Monaco Grand Prix here. Could be looking at 2 points on the board at the end of this race, which would be really, really good for me, you know, really try and boost my championship tally here. But we sort of found myself in a bit of, you know, clean air at this moment in time. You see we've got about 14-second gap to the cars in front and 8-second gap to the cars behind. And now as we get ready for my pit stop there, attacking that curb way too much, losing the back end slightly, as well as dropping it completely out of the next corner there. And that was really, really not what we wanted. We need to try and get the car facing the right direction before the guy behind me gets there. You know, we would spend an eternity waiting for him to go past there. So we're going to dive it into the pits on the end of that lap there. And, you know, really not going to try and lose out too much time. Unfortunately, did not request for the damage to be fixed, so I'm not even 100% sure still if you can get the damage to be fixed on these cars. But diving it in to the pit lane there, and now we're going to get a fresh set of rubber, try and take us towards the end of this Grand Prix. From what I gathered, we were about just over sort of 10 minutes in to this race there. But yeah, overall a decent stop there, 9.6 relative to the 10-second pit stop that the game did estimate there. And now try and make sure we get out the pit lane nice and tidily. Obviously succeed, but now down into P10 of the Grand Prix. So we are still in the points at this moment in time, which is really, really good to see. We've actually got one car just a couple of seconds behind me. But now, as we skip on to lap 14 of this race, and unfortunately, as I said, you know, we sort of just found myself in no man's land in P9 of this race. See, after all the pit stops had been made, we sort of found myself back in that position. The gaps basically had remained the same, even though we had span it there. And now, as we come through this, you know, fast, what's this? It's not Casino, it's Tabac even. That's the corner name. And we completely dropped it through the swimming pool chicane, and that has been a costly error in the Monaco Grand Prix. And I didn't actually realise it at this moment in time, but we'd completely ripped off the rear wing there. Actually about to get lapped, I think, if I'm not mistaken, by, I don't even know who is actually leading this Grand Prix at the moment there. But yeah, absolutely no rear downforce there. Only just about realised it now as we completely bin it through Antonino. Somehow just about keep it out the way of everyone else, though we will apologise in the chat as well. But yeah, that was a really, really frustrating mistake to make. You know, easily 2 points completely down the drain there. You can see we're struggling all over the shop with that back end as we tried to, you know, nurse the car around the final couple of corners, just seeing how bad the damage was. But yeah, we would have completely wrote the car off anyway there, as you can see, hitting the wall through the final corner. But yeah, that was really, really frustrating. So I think the best thing to do is just move into race 2 as soon as we possibly can. They completely forget about race 1, and after a couple of unfortunate issues on the formation that we actually found myself starting in P11. It says that we're actually going to be in P9 for the start of this Grand Prix, if I am not mistaken there. But yeah, hoping we can make amends for the first race. As I said, only the top 8 actually score in the second race of the evening. But here we are then on the grid. It's 8 lights. It is 10 lights for the second race of the Monaco Grand Prix, and it's lights out. And away we go there, and actually off to, once again, a fairly decent start. Going to try and look around the outside of SY in towards T1 there. Are we going to be able to make that move stick? No, we're not. A bit of carnage up the road there, as I think that is Sam Carpenter has been sent completely over the top there. And unfortunately, I was probably a little bit too calm on that start. You know, really probably could have gone a little bit more aggressive, potentially made up a couple of places there. But I really, really just wanted to try and defend and, you know, keep my car in one piece here as we come through this first sector there. No idea how much damage Sam has got, but he's a good sort of 3 seconds quicker than me still at this moment in time. So there's probably no chance we're going to be able to get anything, sort of any overtakes done on him there. Ben actually tried to have a look up my inside through down in towards the hairpin there. Sorry, the corner before the hairpin even, which if I'm not mistaken, I think is Massenet, but I'm probably wrong. I just don't know corner names around Monaco. But now as you can see, skipping on towards the end of lap 1 here, and all over the back of SSY here. As you can see, there's yellow flags out though in the final sector of the lap, and it appears that Sam has actually made contact once again there, nearly on top of the other car, which I think was Harris Parvez there. So a very, very unfortunate incident for the pair of them, and that, but fortunately for me, moves me up into the points of the Monaco Grand Prix. Absolutely no chance of, you know, deciding we want to hit the apex there through the final corner. But it's going to be interesting to see if we can try and defend from Sam just behind me here. He's only a couple of seconds back. I don't think somehow he's actually got that much damage, and he's going to completely send it down my inside a couple of laps later there. That was a really, really surprising move from me. You know, complete commitment from him. Had to make sure that I was actually somewhat aware of the other cars around me. But we now unfortunately move back outside the points in this Monaco Grand Prix. You can see coming out of the final corner here, struggling to try and get on the power there. You can see Sam just absolutely pulls away from me as we come down past the finish line there. But unfortunately, actually for me in this race after that, it became very, very quiet there. It was a little bit gutting, you know, that it was just so quiet for me between then and the end of the Grand Prix. You can see skipping on to lap 9, we'd actually moved up one more place as a couple of incidents obviously had been around, but we'd only really made the places in the pit lane there. Through turn 1, almost dropping it there, but we just give up Ben actually, so he was unlapped himself because I didn't want to have any sort of last lap incident with him. You know, we were basically guaranteed this 8th place in the Grand Prix, so we were just going to try and hold on to it. You know, that one solidary point, you know, we should have got a couple in the first race of the night there, but, you know, to be able to take home any would probably be quite ideal. But there we are then. The time is up in the Monaco sprint race, actually. I'm not too sure who has come through to win that race, but very, very well done to them. Not many survivors, once again, actually, in the second race of the evening. A lot of people sort of go very, very, you know, hectic in the sprint race. You know, they really, really just want to try and make up as many places as they can right at the start. And obviously, I think, as we all know, you know, a bit too well at times, the Monaco Grand Prix, you certainly cannot really go on an aggressive run here. You know, you sort of just have to bide your time, and that sort of suits my style a little bit more. As you can see, if we hadn't made that mistake in the first race, you know, just clipping that curb and get very, very unsettled there, we could have taken points home in both Grand Prix this evening there. But there's actually yellow flags out in the final sector of this lap. So what has gone on here? Final lap carnage in the Monaco Grand Prix, and it appears SSY has completely dropped it through the final chicane there. We actually make a huge amount of contact with him there, go for a bit of a drift tap. But we now move up into P7 of the Grand Prix. It's going to be 2 points on the board then for myself. Really, really happy with that result. As we come out of the final corner, we have survived the second race of the Monaco Grand Prix there. Very, very happy with that. Going for actually an alright 360 as we go over the line as well there, and doing a couple of celebratory donuts once again, as I always like to do there. But there we are then. That has been the end of the Monaco, you know, both Monaco Grand Prix, if you will, the feature and the sprint race there. Really, really happy. Overall, you know, obviously, as I said, a little bit gutted with the first race. We can see, I think it was Scott Davison actually able to come through to win the second race of the night there. There's my 360 on the replay cameras as well, so hopefully you guys do enjoy that one just a couple more times. You know, impressed that I only really sort of hit the wall at the end there. But yeah, as I said, a little bit disappointed that we did miss out points in the first race there, but we did take home 2 valuable points in the second one. So very, very happy with that overall. But thank you all so much for watching. Do not forget to like, subscribe if you want to see more of this AOR rFactor2 Formula 2 League. Next race will actually be at Baku there, so we got two street circuits in a row. But as I said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time for a brand new video.